welcome. Welcome to Polytechnico. I'm very happy at the end that you are here. I'm a bit sad that the project is finishing, so let us hope to have other occasions to work together. Okay, this last package is a package that we can title like From Local to Global. So starting, we saw that now the students are able of mapping using the OpenStreetMap platform. They started practicing with some local problem. So they now know if they want to put something on the map, independently of what they want to put on the map, something that is relevant for them, they're able of doing that. So the next step is to understand that all of us, we are part of the same world. And so is to understand that probably there is something bigger than us that is happening around us. And we can be more or less affected but by this that is happening. And so at this point, the idea was to consider some true, real humanitarian projects where the student could contribute. So for doing that, we needed before to prepare the students to explain them why we wanted to do that. And so in the beginning, there were two seminars. The first one was about EUthmappers. So the presentation of EUthmappers, we have here Michael, and then he will explain us something more with respect to EUthmappers, but was important to tell the students what EUthmappers are doing, which mainly are doing mapping activities as volunteers for supporting the activity of United Nations. So this was the first seminar. The second seminar was about SDGs, because SDGs are considered as a metric for interpreting if we are going toward a best situation globally at the worldwide level. And so the topic of this seminar was SDGs and humanitarian mapping. How SDGs can be reached considering the humanitarian mapping. Okay, then at this point, once it was clarified what we wanted to do, at this point we had to solve the technological problem, because even if the students were already able of mapping, the point is that when we create a mapathon and students can start mapping in the OpenStreetMap platform, this data become data available for everyone. And so this can be very critical, because if something wrong is inserted in the database, this is wrong for everyone in the world. And so we preferred to create a sandbox for the students in such a way that before we could practice with a sandbox, and those data were not going directly to the OpenStreetMap platform, so no available for everyone. And so we create a sandbox with 8 different projects in such a way that the student could work on that. And then obviously we needed also to develop some application. When I say we, is not true. I have to say we did that. He. Most of people know we, and he was the person developing the code for doing all these things. So the editing of OpenStreetMap with the mobile phone, because was not already implemented, to creating statistics and everything else. So all the technology was developed by we. And so between December 2024 and March 2025, the students were working on these in this OpenStreetMap sandbox, and specifically we decided also together with Michael, we decided to work on IDP camps in Syria, for mapping IDP camps in Syria in such a way to start putting something of humanitarian. And what we provided were reports every week, and we were able of monitoring everything the different schools were able of doing. Then after that, from April 2025 to June 2025, we did the True project. And the True project was decided together with, again, EUthmappers, so with Michael, was decided as a project, let us say a long-term project, not something that it was requested to have an immediate map, because sometimes we need an immediate map. Think if there is a disaster, every kind of disaster, due to man, due to the nature and so on, we need to have in few days the map. So it was not possible to propose to the students something like that, even if probably is more attractive because everyone is speaking about this specific event, but we needed to do something requesting some months to be finished because the students were working few hours every week. And so we decided this project of EUthmappers, which is mapping Kandahar, which was useful for a true peacekeeping mission, the peacekeeping mission of UNAMA. This peacekeeping mission needed then to develop some virtual reality tools for practicing about the city, because the people going there for the peacekeeping mission, they need in advance to know how is the situation, the landscape, the situation around, because they need to understand how to move them in a safe way. And so this is very relevant to collect before the mapping in such a way to create this virtual reality, and they can practice going here, driving from here, and if something happens, I can move there, and so on and so on. And so we did that. We develop also, again, some tools that were developed by we. You can see, but you know because the student used. But I want to give you some data. So under 63 pupils worked on the map, on this Kandahar map. We built more than 18,000 buildings we mapped, and it was 63%, it was realized that 63% of the task of the project. And we are very proud because we were also nominated as Mappers of the Month in July 2025 by EUthmappers. So a big recognition by EUthmappers. Okay, so what we learned, first of all that if you want to propose these humanitarian projects, you have to work step by step. So the students have to be exposed to what they are doing. And this is also a good occasion. This is also a good occasion of explaining to pupils what is the situation in places far from them, like what we know about Afghanistan, what we know about Syria. I mean, adults, we know very few. Pupils know even less than us. And so it's an important occasion to try to explain them what is the situation and what is the story, what is the geography of these places, what is the way of living in these places that are so far from us. And this is very important to make them aware about the diverse of the world we have around us. Then the second point is to have interactive tools because, for instance, tools for using mobile phones are very relevant. So the young people are using mobile phones definitely more than us. We are using a lot, but we can also use the desktop. They don't like desktop at all. They want to use the mobile phone. And so we were so lucky that we was able of developing the new tools that now are available for everyone in the OpenStreetMap world for using the mobile phone for mapping. And then the other point which is very relevant is that these humanitarian mapping projects expose the students to what is happening in the world. And so having, I hope, more empathy and the idea of the need of collaboration among all of us. Conclusions. So with respect to EUthmappers, we hope that the schools that were exposed to this project want to go ahead, want to be the champions with respect to this initiative and go ahead in creating this network of mappers. I believe that the schools have to do that because this is the right level. They can have some support from the universities, but are the schools that I have to decide. Then probably also other new ways for collaborative mapping can be experienced. And the last point is that besides STEMs, probably we need to think also about how to elicit more the participation like gamification and other immersive technologies and so on in such a way to involve and attract more the attention of the students. This is the very last slide. So as some technologies were also developed, these technologies, there is this task EUthmappers.com, and you have the technologies are available as open technologies for everyone. So everyone who is interested can reuse everything that was produced by this project. And I believe that this is also the beauty of this project, contributing to the good of the humanity. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you and nice to see you here. I am Michael Montani, and I work for the United Nations Global Service Center, which is the logistic base of the UN. We are based in Brindisi, in southern Italy, but there is also another office in Valencia, in Spain. So the Global Service Center is basically providing services to the UN peacekeeping missions. So those are like, if you think about it, the blue helmets. So I guess you all know, let's say, these forces around the world. As you can see, we are working with other UN entities all over the world, mainly in Africa, but there are peacekeeping missions also in Europe, for example, Kosovo. But also in Southern America, in Asia, and also in the Middle East. Our major services are free, basically. The supply chain service, which is hosting containers, vehicles, food, and whatever tools have to be sent to the missions. Including also the establishment and the removal of peacekeeping mission camps once they are created or terminated. Then we have the service for geospatial information and telecommunication technologies. That is where I work. We are providing IT services to the peacekeeping missions. And then the central service regarding the organization of conferences and trainings, both with military or also political entities. I will start with a bit of history of the topographic maps, because one of the mandates of the logistic base is to provide military support to the peacekeepers, and including also the production in the past of the topographic maps that are cartographic products. So in the past, we were using private databases to do this. So we were editing on QGIS or ArcGIS the data, and the data was stored within private databases. But this was very costly and hard to maintain and to update. So we decided to switch to open data, in particular OpenStreetMap for the base map information. So the challenge that we had is the lack of topographic data. This is the One Lawain village in Somalia on Google Maps, and is not existing. Now I checked, it appeared, but it has like way less information than what it should have. So this is like very common in Asia and Africa, in many small rural villages that are not present. But we have also the impossibility to upload operational data in the open data environment. So for example, we have operative data that is very sensitive, like military checkpoints, the location of the troops. This data cannot be shared publicly, so we have to keep it private. So we need to adopt an hybrid approach. We have another challenge, that is the non-authoritative boundaries. So for example, if we take international borders from open data, everybody can change them. And that is like not what we should represent on a UN maps. So on maps for the United Nations. So we are using the database that is coming from the UN headquarters. So the international borders agreed by the international community. And we have also an issue related to geographical names that may be national names. So how it is spelled a certain city or country in the different languages. Like, for example, we received in the past, let's say, the request to change the spelling of Kiev, for example, to Kiev in the Ukrainian version, or also the English name of Turkey that, as you know, like is an animal, but the Republic of Turkey asked us to change the name to especially for the English spelling. That is like, okay, but in some places in which there are like conflicts, even the spelling of the cities may indicate like one political party or the other one. So this has to be taken into account. So we established the UN maps. That is, as you can imagine, like a kind of a Google Maps version of for UN personnel. And that is offering the different services, including like the visualization and navigation, like street maps, operational maps, three-dimensional visualization of the data, but also the traditional cartographic products. So we still do the paper maps for the military that have to plan tactical operation, and they have to go on the field where internet is not available. So here there are like some examples. This is the application. It's exactly like Google Maps, but it uses base map data from OSM and overlays on top of it the UN international borders, as well as the operational data and the city names. Then we have the operational features that are included in the same application, in which we can visualize all the data coming from the missions, so the flights from within the different UN camps, the borders, like areas that are at risk, the location of the troops, and so on. And also the three-dimensional visualization of the data. This is coming from OSM. We are using vector tiles, but is also used for virtual reality application that Maria briefly explained before. So UN Maps is used, as you can imagine, in patrolling, so military operations, planning, but also humanitarian relief, for example, for the setting IDP camps, groundwater exploration, security, when we have to transport very important people, logistics and reporting also in the headquarters. And within this initiative, we also leverage crowdsourcing, so the help of many volunteers through the EUthmappers community. The community is composed by several people or sub-communities that are coming from the GIS community, uniformed personnel, local communities, as well as remote volunteers and academia. Like in this case, we are collaborating with many universities and high schools in Europe. And the way we work with volunteers is very simple. We open projects on the tasking manager platform of the Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team, in which every user can take one task and edit. We have the collaborative mapping, and the data is then later validated by professionals within our team. And the data is then fueling the EUthmappers services, and also is available for local communities for their own benefit. So that is important, because then they will be able to use also the data from OSM for their own applications in their countries. The way we work is very simple. We deal with education, mapping, and communication. So the first step is education. So we organize trainings with universities and high schools. We also host internships. For example, Hui was an intern of ours in the past. So I'm happy to see him here as well. And we release also certificates to universities. And we also have a learning platform online. The website is un.maps.org/learning. And then we also have we do organize collaborative editing activities. We were mentioning before mapathons. So people collaborate all together to edit. I mean, you experienced this in first person, so that is that you know everything about this. And then we also communicate on social media all our activities, also putting value on the people that are helping us. So we are giving a prize to the best mappers with the Mapper of the Month initiative. But also sharing. Also, we have a Discord channel in which we can have like direct communication with the volunteers. The website, as I was mentioning, is maps.un.org. So there you can find all the information. And I was just to conclude with the mentioning the EUthmappers collaboration. As we said, we used the data that students created in Kandahar, in a city in Afghanistan, to help the UNAMA mission, that is the assistance mission in Afghanistan, to create a virtual reality model. So this data is coming from OSM. We are using it to style and create 3D buildings in such a way that we can organize training sessions for the new blue helmets that are joining a mission before they experience the reality on the ground. Because, I mean, every time that you are going out of the UN camp is a risky environment. And also to do briefing to senior management personnel. And here I included a funny picture with the Secretary General that is in Brindisi trying one of our tools with Christina, a colleague of us. So thank you very much. And I'm finished.